In the heart of a vast forest, there lived a wise herbalist. He was known far and wide for his deep knowledge of medicinal herbs. Every day, he wandered through the woods, climbing mountains and crossing rivers in search of rare plants. On one particular day, he set out at dawn, determined to find a specific herb that was known for its extraordinary healing properties. But as the sun began to set, he still hadn't found what he was looking for. Exhausted from his day's efforts, he started his journey back home. Fatigue weighed heavily on him. His legs felt like they were made of lead. He had spent the entire previous night preparing a special remedy, without a moment's sleep. Now, as dusk fell, he could hardly keep his eyes open. He noticed a large stone by the side of the road and decided to rest for a moment. The moment turned into deep sleep as he slumped against the rock. Too tired to continue, meanwhile, the king, accompanied by his royal entourage, was traveling along that same road. The clamor of the approaching royal procession was loud, but the herbalist, lost in slumber, heard nothing. When the guards saw the man lying on the road, they tried to wake him, but he did not stir. Finally, the king himself, infuriated by the insolence, descended from his carriage. "Fool! How dare you lie here on the road when the king himself is passing by?" The king shouted, giving the man a sharp kick in the ribs. Startled awake, the herbalist rubbed his eyes and looked around in confusion. There stood the king, his face red with anger. Slowly, the herbalist realized what had happened. "I must have been dreaming," he thought to himself. "For here is a lion of the forest, angry and fierce." The king's face grew even darker with rage. "Do you not know who I am?" he bellowed. "I am the king. My command can determine life or death, wealth or ruin. I rule over vast lands and hold the scepter of power. You, a mere commoner, dare to ignore my presence." The herbalist remained calm, despite the king's fury. He looked the king straight in the eyes and replied, "Your Majesty, I see that you possess many great things. Wealth, power, and an army at your command. But these are all external to you. They are not a reflection of who you truly are. If all these were stripped away, what would remain? What is your true greatness if it relies on things outside yourself? The real value of a man lies within, in the qualities of his character, not in the trappings of his position." The king was taken aback. No one had ever spoken to him like this before. He fell silent, pondering the herbalist's words. He realized that everything he prided himself on, his crown, his riches, his authority, were all things that could be lost in an instant. But true greatness, the kind the herbalist spoke of, could only come from within. In a humbled voice, the king asked, "Who are you, wise one?" The herbalist smiled softly and said, "I am merely a seeker of herbs and wisdom. But some call me Socrates. The king bowed his head, recognizing the truth in the herbalist's words. He knew that despite all his power, he was still searching for the true greatness that Socrates possessed within.